During my Biodesign fellowship year, we focused on the field of cardiac electrophysiology, a subspecialty of cardiology. The subspecialty deals with the diagnosis and treatment of abnormal heart rhythms or arrhythmias. The need that eventually led to the formation of iRhythm Technologies was a better way to non-invasively detect potential rhythm disturbances in patients with suspected arrhythmias or abnormal heart rhythms. The way I most simply think about value is it's a ratio of clinical outcome over cost or economic burden. So it's essentially trying to think about, while most of the things we like to do in healthcare should drive clinical benefit, sometimes they don't also match in terms of how expensive they are for a given patient or given population. So value really, in my mind, represents how do those two related. I think when we were fellows, which was back in the mid-2000s, it was very clear that the U.S. healthcare system was spending way too much to take care of the population. It was already at 15+% of GDP. So the signposts were there that we were getting to a point where it would be very difficult to keep adding more and more costs. So while we probably specifically weren't only focused on looking at things that would drive down cost, we knew that for most of the needs we addressed, thinking about costs at some level, whether it be as part of the need itself, part of some of the need criteria, the must-haves and nice-to-haves that we would come up with, it would have to play a part, because it's just not tenable to consider adding more and more costs. Cardiac electrophysiology, as I mentioned before, is the study of diagnosis and treatment of cardiac arrhythmias. The field itself is very, very technologically driven. There are lots of devices such as implanted defibrillators. There's lots of systems in the hospitals to figure out where arrhythmias come from, catheters to deliver energy to get rid of those arrhythmias. So there's already a lot of cost in taking care of patients who have arrhythmias. So from the get-go, we realized that if there were ways to think about getting people diagnosed earlier so they get to treatment earlier, when they got to a therapeutic intervention, making the therapeutic intervention faster or shorter, taking things that were implanted and maybe moving them to an external or a wearable. So these were all the types of things that we thought in a field which delivers a lot of benefit but also has significant cost because of its reliance on technology. There seem to be a lot of places where we could potentially shift care to drive that value equation of clinical outcome at lower cost or lower economic burden. So one of the first areas that we really noticed was that a lot of patients first come to presentation as having an arrhythmia by presenting with symptoms such as, I felt my heart racing, I felt short of breath, but it went away. But they don't know that they need to see me as a super specialist. They know that maybe they need to go talk to their primary care doc, or worse, maybe go to the emergency room. So we realized that if a lot of the care of diagnosis and therapy is being done by super specialists, but a lot of the initial presentation where people come to attention is happening at the primary care or emergency room level, there was a misalignment there such that it took time for patients to eventually percolate up the system to get to a person like me, such that they probably got a lot of testing, a lot of other, back and forth to visits to the clinics. So we really thought about the process of getting to see a super specialist. Are there places where we can intervene such that we get to those patients earlier to either rule them out as you need to see me, or you rule them in, as like, wow, we definitely need to get you to a specialist right away.